Hello everyone, my name is Tasha and today I'm going to be talking about Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I read this book last month. I mentioned it in my January wrap-up, and I also mentioned that I planned on doing a book talk, which is what I'm doing right now. First, a little bit of backstory on how this book came to be. Rainbow Rowell wrote another book called Fangirl, and in that book the main character, Kath, was a fangirl of this Harry Potter-esque fantasy book series called Simon Snow, and she wrote fanfiction about it. And Carry On is Rainbow Rowell's interpretation of kind of the fanfiction or that last book from that series. To shortly summarize this actual book, Carry On is about Simon Snow. He is a wizard from the age of, I think it was 11. He has been told that he is the chosen one to defeat some kind of evil thing, but Simon Snow believes he is the worst chosen one ever. He's really bad at magic. Simon Snow is attending his last year at Watford, the magic school in this book. And then there's also Simon's roommate, Baz, who is a vampire and wants to kill Simon. But at the beginning of this last school year, he has gone missing, and Simon is kind of obsessing over that and thinks that Baz is plotting to kill Simon again. So that's kind of where this book starts off. So as I mentioned, in Fangirl, this fictional story, Simon Snow, was supposed to be a Harry Potter-esque story. So the similarities to Harry Potter were intentional. And I know a lot of people weren't too impressed by the similarities to Harry Potter, and I do admit there were similarities. I mean, it's a magic school in England, and Simon Snow is the chosen one, and then there's this evil guy. There were definitely similarities to Harry Potter, and towards the beginning of the book I was very aware of them, but the more I got into this book, the less I thought about how similar it was to Harry Potter, and it just became its own story and its own world and everything. I'm pretty sure that will be different to each person, and you just have to figure out if you mind the similarities or you don't. I didn't. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 stars. I made a list of things that I really liked from this book. The first being that it was a modern day magic school. So even though this is fantasy and it has like fantasy creatures and this whole magic school setting, there are modern day things and references mentioned in this book. So even though they're at this magic school, they still use laptops and mobile phones and that stuff. At one point there was a reference to the song Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen, so I really enjoyed that. I haven't seen that a lot with like this fantasy element mixed with modern day things. I haven't seen that a lot, and I really enjoyed that in this book. There were different point of views in this book, but I believe the majority of those point of views were Simon and Baz. I pretty much loved every character, even the ones that were a bit unlikable, like Agatha? I don't know how to pronounce her name. Agatha? I found this book hilarious. The amount of times that I laughed out loud with other people in the room, which is something I usually don't do. Usually when I read with other people in the room, I'm a very quiet reader and I keep my thoughts and like emotions inside, mostly. But with this book, I was laughing out loud so often. They're just a lot of sarcastic characters, especially Baz. Baz is such a sarcastic little shit, and I loved him so much. I have so much love for Baz, and yeah, I just found this really funny to read, but at the same time, it gave me all of the feels, like so many feels. Just a typical Rainbow Rowell book. Something I think I should mention too in this spoiler-free bit, there is a lot of swearing in this book. I just love that. I think it's normal for most teenagers, young adults, but if you don't like that, it's something you won't like about this book. I don't know if that makes sense. I loved it. I found the dynamic between these characters really interesting. It's also a diverse cast of characters. It features gay characters, it features characters with different ethnicities. Did I say that right? I don't think there was anything else spoiler-free to mention about this book except that I loved it so much. So that was it for my spoiler-free bit. I hope I mentioned everything spoiler-free. Anyway, if you have not read this book yet, I recommend you leave this video because I'm going to talk about some other things that might be considered spoilers. I don't even know where to start with this book. My favorite character was probably Baz. I did love Simon so much, also Penelope, and Agatha a little bit too, but Baz was definitely my favorite character. He was so snarky and sarcastic, and I loved it. Like the first 150 pages, you don't get a point of view or anything of Baz because he's missing in the beginning of the book. I loved him from his first point of view. I loved him so much. I loved how the relationship between Simon and Baz formed from hate to love. The whole insidious humdrum, I don't know. It was all a bit confusing to me, like trying to figure it out. And at some point it's like, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna read it and then figure it out and then find out about it. Also, I didn't see the mage, whatever you call him being Simon's father. I didn't see that coming. At some point I had like suspicions, but I caught on to it very late, so I'm not gonna say that I predicted it because there were loads of hints towards it by then. Something else I really liked was Agatha, I don't know how to pronounce her name, her opinion on magic. I thought that was really interesting, not something you or I have seen a lot, like in this magic world, and her being put off by magic. She just wanted to be a normal girl, she had normal friends, and there was this one scene, I don't remember what they were doing, but everyone was using their magic, and Agatha was like, why don't we just use tape? It's so much easier. And I thought that was really funny. I like that she just did whatever she wanted to do towards the end and like moved to, was it California? I don't know, and just led a normal life without magic. I was a bit sad towards the end that Simon didn't have any magic left, and I found it a bit weird that he still had his wings and his tail. I think that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Comment down below with your thoughts on this book, and maybe we can chat about it, and maybe I'll think of other things to say about this book. And that was it for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!